Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar, Technology Solutions to Secure Businesses and Increase Revenue, sponsored by Manage 24/7 and hosted by CPA Australia. I would now like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we stand today and recognise their continued connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. It is my pleasure to introduce today's presenters, Jennifer Gardner, Sean Witherden, Ruben Egulian and Nathan Dunn. I'll now hand over to you, Jennifer, to get us underway. Welcome.
Welcome everyone and good afternoon to you all. My name is Genevieve Gardner. I have 12 years experience working with CPA and its members and accountants across Asia Pacific, helping companies with B2B business solutions. And my clients are being and have expertise in fintech, IT, financial services, products and investments across the SMSF, superannuation, technology and accounting sectors. This afternoon, we're here to talk about technology solutions to secure your business and increase revenue. How we're going to achieve that and discuss this is around IT infrastructure management and revenue management. And I'm very pleased to introduce you to the panel of experts that I have with us today. We have Rupen Egulian, founder and CEO of Manage 24/7 Technology Solutions, which is a managed service provider operating across Asia Pacific. We have Sean Witherden, the Senior Channel Development Manager at Datto, and Nathan Dunn, Head of Product Development at Cloud Depot. Over to you. Welcome, Rupen. Sorry, Rupen, you might just be on mute.
Sorry, guys, bit of a technical problem. Hi, my name's Rupen, and I'm the CEO and founder of Manage 24/7. I've been in the industry since 1999, helping small businesses of all sizes to help manage their IT systems and ensuring they're safe and secure. I have an executive MBA and I also have a Masters of Professional Accounting. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Sean.
Thanks for having me, guys. My name is Sean Witherden. I'm the Senior Channel Development Manager at Datto. Datto, we are the leading business provider for business continuity and disaster recovery. So we work closely with Manage 24/7 to ensure that their customers have a business continuity and disaster recovery solution for them in their businesses. We have offices in 28 locations around the world, 9 data centers, one in Melbourne and one in Sydney, which is really important for the financial industry to know that they've got data sovereignty. And thank you very much for having me, guys. I hope you get a bit out of this.
Welcome. Thanks, Sean. And Nathan.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. My name's Nathan Dunn, and I'm the Head of Product Development here at Cloud Depot. So we've been in the fintech industry for about 8 years now, and we process about $1 billion worth of transactions through our platforms every year, and this continues to grow annually. As part of today's presentation, I'm going to present to you one of our platforms called RPS, or Recurring Payment Service, and it's tailored specifically for the financial services and accounting sector. To finish off my short intro with a little bit about me, I've been here at Cloud Depot since its inception, having studied software engineering at university, and I'm really passionate about taking complicated business problems and automating them in such a way that business owners can scale without having any growing pains. So thanks.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. So ladies and gents, why are we here today? We're here because we need to talk to you about the importance of IT infrastructure management and revenue management, which are two crucial players in all businesses to ensure that your businesses and your clients are safeguarded and that each and every organization that you have access to as an accountant can maximize income. So what is infrastructure management? Infrastructure management is about monitoring IT systems and using services to make sure that the critical information and IT infrastructure best uses resources to protect against data loss, and it monitors key aspects of local and cloud-based services within your organization. Sorry, guys. And why it is important? Infrastructure management is the process of managing the components of a company's IT. making sure that you have the appropriate methods within your infrastructure that allows improved performance, safety and security, and ability to quickly solve solutions when IT problems arise. So IT infrastructure management is a combination of technology solutions and products that safeguard your business and keep it functional, secure, operational, and therefore profitable. Technology solutions in the IT infrastructure management include cybersecurity, ransomware protections, backup and data storage, business continuity and disaster recovery, also known as BCDR. And all of these tech solutions are delivered to you through a managed service provider who ensures that they are offering you services that keep you and your company cyber resilient. So let's have a chat about that. Cyber resilience with a managed service provider. Sean, Rupen, talk to me about cyber resilience and the importance of it and the difference between cyber security versus cyber resilience.
Yeah, good question, because what's happening in this industry at the moment and what we're seeing from our side with the Datto is that a lot of the companies out there have cybersecurity because that's been embedded in the business operations for the last 2-3 years. You need to have your firewall, your VPN, your physical products that sit on site, and you still need those 100%. You need that particular infrastructure or software. But what we need to understand is cyber resilience, and that's the measure. So that's the business strength and having the ability to recover as soon as possible in the event of a cyber attack or an outage of your server. So they're the three key pillars there: are the people, process, and technology. Having the people around to understand what they need to do in that event, the process written down and understood by those people, but also having that technology in place to recover from that outage and unfortunately that cyber attack. So that's the cyber resilience platform that we're starting to see more businesses come into their own with.
Hey, Sean, I assume that as the world becomes more connected and more businesses take more of their processes and stuff online, that this is, would you feel, more important than ever?
Absolutely. The cybersecurity, once again, it's 100% of the time it needs to work. So you have a firewall, and what happens with most applications, most firewalls, most software is that they need patching. So you need to keep that patching up to date, and that needs to be done 100% of the time. So it's really critical that now we implement the cyber resilience strategy, because it's that old adage, unfortunately, it's not when, it's not if it will happen, it's when it will happen. And you need to have that cyber resilience platform there to assist with you to ensure that you can get operational.
Okay, great. So on that, Sean, we're talking about cyber resilience, which obviously is multifaceted. It doesn't just cover security, backups and data storage and ransomware. It's a combination of tech solutions and products to secure businesses. But with COVID and the rise of the work from home environment, I think it's very crucial that we discuss the importance of ransomware as part of the cyber resilience solution that a managed service provider can provide. So let's have a chat through the stats, because I know that we've spoken about this briefly in the lead up to this webinar, and the ransomware stats out there are very, very scary, particularly the legal repercussions and the financial damage that these types of attacks are causing.
Yeah, correct. Because I think you could, before we start, we need to understand what ransomware is, so the audience knows. And it's malware design. It's malware designed to deny a user or that organization access to their computer. So they encrypt. So what happens is you click on a link and then it encrypts your data, and you need to recover that data by reaching out to that cyber hacker and getting a decryption key. And what we're seeing is 43% of those attacks are aimed at small, medium businesses. It's not the big organizations they're going for. They're actually going for the small parties because they're easier to get into. Unfortunately, their software or their security platforms aren't up to scratch as much as what a large player is, and therefore they're getting attacked more and more. One of the big scary factors that you can see on your screen there is a business is hit with ransomware every 13 seconds. Now, if you take that into context, if someone was getting robbed or a house was getting robbed here in Australia every 13 seconds, that would be major headline in the news. But unfortunately, we're not seeing those sort of stats in the media, but that is certainly something to be mindful of. So it is scary out there at the moment, Jen.
Just on that, the figure of cybercrime will cost 10.5 trillion globally. Is that specifically just in ransomware payoffs, or is that also got to do with downtime and the costs that it's is putting on top of businesses in the strain from
Yeah.
the financial repercussions of being down during the attack?
Yeah, good question. So that is literally the repayments to being impacted by a cybercrime event. So I listen to webinars podcasts every morning, and the one that we heard last week was that number is actually going to be revised, because in the last these 3 months of 2022, we've actually spent more money on ransomware decryption keys than we had over the last 10 years. So the cybercrime community are actually going back to look at that cost and say, well, actually, it's going to be more than that by 2025. And that is purely because hackers are now looking at what we've got with the whole environment that we're all working from home, and they're utilizing that to come into systems more and more. So we're seeing more and more cybercrime, unfortunately, over the last 3 months than we did over the last 10 years. And that's scary.
Wow.
Sean, as a business based in Australia, is this not something that, American businesses struggle with? Why as an Australian business do we have to care about ransomware and, the security of our sort of digital presence and assets and networks and those sort of things?
Yeah, because technology is anywhere. And the ability to live in a third world country and remote into machines that are here in Australia is as simple as someone living next door to me here. So it doesn't matter the location and which area you're in, because they can come into anything by the click of a button. A silly little phishing email that comes through to us here in Australia, we click on that, that gives them an open gateway to our infrastructure. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are. Unfortunately, cybersecurity and cybercrime will catch up with you.
Wow.
One question I just noticed on the chat is as Mark just asked, from data's point of view, what are you seeing that governments are doing about it? And I suppose specifically the Australian government doing about this sort of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Australian government have the Essential 8 framework, which they've given out to all companies to align their security framework to, which Datto do align to, because one of those Essential 8 framework divisions is to have a easily recoverable backup solution in 3 locations. And that's where Datto can come to play. And we'll touch on that in a little bit later, but that's our BCDR device. So there's definitely, the government here in Australia is doing a lot to support us as small businesses to get us ahead of the game. But it is ultimately on the business to ensure that they bring those particular, security metrics and tools into their business.
Wow. And there's another scary statistic for you. This is globally available information, everybody. If you'd like to get on and jump on Google and have a look at stats and how bad ransomware is, that 60% of businesses that are being hit by ransomware never recover from the attack. And a lot of these businesses that are being hit by ransomware will even pay the ransom and they're still not surviving. That's due to the financial damage and cost, but also the legal ramifications of being hit with ransomware and having a data breach. On that, the legal ramifications of data breaches under the Australian Privacy Act. An individual may have claims for a data breach based on breach of contract, negligence, and/or contravention of the Australian consumer law. And at the end of this year, we have an amendment to the Privacy Legislation Amendment Act, Enhancing Online Privacy and Other Measures Bill. This bill is expected to be introduced into Parliament by the end of this year, and it's going to increase both online privacy protection for individuals and consumers, and more importantly, the penalties for the breaches. Under the new revised act, the financial penalties will be $532,000 for each offence against an individual, and up to $10 million for a corporation per offence for each data breach and privacy offence under the Act. So let's talk about backups and data storage, and this is where ransomware comes into play, because this is what ransomware does. It causes a malicious act on your computers and your infrastructure in order to release data and sensitive information. 20% of all data loss is caused by a malicious act. And Sean, let's have a chat about malicious acts, because it's not just about ransomware. There are other types of malicious acts that can occur that can impact your infrastructure and make you liable for a breach.
Absolutely, because you've got the malicious act, which is that cyber criminal. But unfortunately, for that cyber criminal to come in, it needs to be us, the people that are allowing them in. So it's the people within the business that are the major factor in regards to data storage and backups, because we delete data, We have disgruntled employees who might want to cause harm to our organisations and delete their own data plus anything else they can get their hands on. So the other stat that aligns to this is that 50% of data loss is caused by people. So we need to ensure that we have a business continuity solution in place that also helps us with the staff that we've got internally, because you're going to have that one person in your organization that will think that they received a toll delivery and click on that link in their email to receive that payload and that ransomware inside the organization. And unfortunately, it just takes one person.
Certainly does. So on this, we've spoken about IT infrastructure management and obviously tech solutions within your IT infrastructure that are very important. And we've touched on cyber security and being cyber resilient. We've mentioned ransomware and data backups, but what happens when you get attacked? And one of the solutions I know yourself, Sean, and Rupen have available is business continuity and disaster recovery. Can we have a chat on exactly what BCDR is?
Yeah, absolutely. So BCDR, business continuity, disaster recovery. So 3 years ago, we all had backups. What was a backup? Well, a backup was something that was connected into your server. It took file-based backups onto that particular hard drive or a tape. Now we need to change that mindset to have a business continuity plan, and that's having a device inside your organization to take an image backup of your physical server. So in the event that you are either attacked by criminal crime or your server is offline, you can actually run that image-based backup on that device, get you operational as soon as possible, because it is always about how fast can I get back from an incident. And then you've got your disaster recovery. So what we're seeing up in Queensland at the moment, or Sydney, these floods, major disasters, we're having clients physically turn off power to buildings, and they need to be able to get operational as soon as possible. With the Datto product, you can actually run your server up in our cloud, and that's all part of the BCDR solution. So they are actually running their physical servers up in our cloud location, and they're operational, working from home, but it's like they're working from their office. But I know Rupen's got a case that we worked with him regarding BCDR. Rup, do you want to pass that over?
Yeah, so thanks, Sean. Probably about a year or two ago, we had a client that was concerned about their backups. So we went and did a strategy with them to find out what the best solution is for them. And we found out that their backups were done on external tape and sometimes hard drives. They were getting taken off site, but they were getting left in bags, in back seats. And sometimes when we tried to do our recoveries, as we do as part of our maintenance, some of them didn't work, which was a bit concerning. So what we had to do is we had a look at some options and scenarios, and we found the Datto product, the BCDR solution, which fitted in their requirements. So just a bit about the customer. The client is a small legal firm. They do about $12 million a year. They've been backing up on external hard drives, which is not ideal, but it worked for them for the time being. And what we did is they wanted to find out what it would cost their downtime if they continue with the current solution, and what savings we were able to provide them if we implemented a BCDR solution. So what we did is we've got a calculator that Jen will show us in a moment. We will put some information and we'll actually show you as an estimation of what time they did save and obviously cost, because these days, in terms of a services industry, time is money.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's flick over to the calculator and let's do a live demo of the cost of downtime. Sorry, guys. All right. So here everybody can see calculator at manage247.com.au. If anyone would like to jump on, this is a live calculator that anyone can use at any time. Let's go through some calculations, Rupen.
Okay, so they had 2 terabytes, so 20,000 gigabytes of information. They were backing up 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So they were doing daily backups. And the average response time for severity was about 1 hour and 30 that IT started troubleshooting potential issues that may have happened. and their backups were done locally.
Locally?
So that gives us what they were doing. Now we're going to find out. Now we're going to implement the cost of recovery and the cost of downtime, not only in terms of dollar value, but in terms of human hours of how long it takes for people to get back online and how to do their work. So they had about 20 employees. The average wage that was given to us was about 75,000. The average cost, which includes like super, overheads, workers' comp, was about 10,000, and the annual revenue was about $5 million. So based on that information that we received, the results came out, and they were really astonished on the results that they were given. If they kept with their current solution, their time between their backups was obviously the same. Their recovery process was about 9 hours. 91 hours, which
91.
is a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks. And the cost for them would have been horrendous, was about $289,000 of loss because of not having a proper BCDR strategy.
Because of 91 hours of downtime. You've got staff to pay, you've got rent to pay, you've got overheads, you've got lost billable hours as well, particularly in every sector.
Correct.
Wow, okay.
So, and then once we implemented the BCDR solution, their backups were done in 5-minute increments instead of 10 hours. The recovery time was about 6 minutes for this particular customer. Every customer is very different, but this particular customer, we actually timed it after we even did it, just to prove that what we provided them was actually accurate. And overall, the downtime was about 1 hour and 36 minutes, which is pretty exceptional, and obviously
as opposed
saving
to
about 92. So they were up and running as literally during someone's lunch break, and it allowed them to continue to work while the issues are being resolved. So obviously, not only this helps you with your disaster recovery, but also any hardware failures it will also protect you from. And as Sean said, it provides not only a local solution to go to the cloud, but also provides a cloud solution as well. So if the local is unable to be accessed, like the current issues that we have with the floods, the system also allows the users to work from a remote location without being interrupted.
Now, Ruth, that's a fantastic calculator, and it's certainly something that we see a lot of from a reduced in overheads. But what about reputation? That doesn't take that into account at all either.
Yeah.
No, the issue with reputation is, obviously businesses value their reputation as very high. So if you unfortunately get hacked, you've got to notify your customers within a certain period of the act to tell them that we've been hacked. Now, as soon as someone says we've been hacked, your reputation actually takes a hit because of those particular issues on hand. And unfortunately, you can't really put a price on that, but it does impact your future business. Because obviously you haven't been provided the necessary protection on your systems, nor have you provided the necessary recovery process for what you need.
Okay, wonderful. So obviously BCDR is a solution that you provide as part of your IT infrastructure management, Rupin, in Managed, which is Managed 247, which is a managed service provider. So can you give me a little bit more insight for the audience as to what you do and what IT infrastructure is and all of the aspects of IT infrastructure that you cover?
Yeah, so Managed 24/7 is a technology service provider, which is also a managed service provider. So what we provide is not only security services that protect your environment, but we also do managed IT services. We do email security and filtering services. We do cloud-based migrations and management of the cloud. We provide security services, which we've discussed, just a branch of what we've already discussed. We also do managed boardroom and audio-visual solutions. And overall, we manage your systems and make sure their performance and they're working correctly. So we are a technology service provider. We provide the solutions for technologies, and we make sure that we manage them in a timely and efficient manner to ensure that, number one, you're up to date, all your patches have been provided, and your system is safe and secure.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks very much for that, guys. So question time to the audience. Perhaps you'd like to drop a question in for Rupen or Sean to discuss IT infrastructure management, and in particular ransomware, the financial and legal ramifications of it, and the technology solutions that we've presented as part of this presentation so far. So we have about 2 to 3 minutes if anyone would like to have a quick chat and ask any questions.
While we wait for those to come in, I'll just jump in first, Jen. Sean and Rupen, do you want to discuss about, in the traditional sense of having a backup drive that the receptionist opens a Word document, follows the instruction, plugs in, doesn't really check that the backup's running, and that's sort of your backup strategy. You can talk about why, BCDR is much better than the sort of old school thing of you set it up and it's sort of that box is ticked and you never have to worry about it.
Yeah, great question. The issue with just your traditional backups is when you do a traditional backup, you're only saving files and folders. So the issue with that becomes when you have to recover from those is you have to actually rebuild the whole system from scratch and then copy the files over. So that adds an extra, maybe a few days of work that needs to be achieved, because you've got to make sure your infrastructure is solid before you put your files back on. But then you've also got to scan your files before you put them back on. Because the virus may have been gone through there, which could be a concern. So that's one of the major reasons. The other, the advantage of having the BCDR, because it is an image-based providing solution, it takes a snapshot of your system, not only the files, but also the underlying operating system. So what that means is, if you want to do a recovery, you can actually recover to a particular time of day, So you can say, I want to restore back to 9 a.m. It will restore back to 9 a.m. We don't have to reinstall all the software and reinstall all the files. So it makes the recovery process that much easier. And obviously less downtime, which then the cost savings of user cost becomes very critical in that situation.
And I suppose too, thinking about that traditional way of doing a backup where it's just on a USB drive, that staff members probably not going to have the skills to know whether that backup's even running. The drive might be plugged in properly, the process might be broken, there might be files locked. So I assume by handing that off to someone like yourself and your team, you guys are keeping track of that and actually making sure that when you think you've got a solution, should your business be interrupted, you've actually got something there to sort of fall back into.
That is correct. Yeah. So the traditional systems are, they're very, you've got to test them every quarter anyway, just to make sure. Your managed service provider should be able to be doing that on a quarterly basis, just to make sure. But in terms of the BCDR solution that we've got from Datto, we actually check your backups on a daily basis. We make sure that your systems are, if something does come up, we're able to basically restore your network in a very quick manner. Based on our CAL study, it was about 6 minutes in terms of the time to come up, and then about 1 hour and 30 of saving time. So what we do as part of the offering is we make sure that your systems are basically backed up every day, but we also check your backups every day. That ensures peace of mind to the business owners.
Just a question has come through from a member of the audience watching. Sean, this would be for you. How secure can they be? How sure can the audience be that the Datto backups are secure and there's no ransomware? And I know that there was a huge issue earlier this year with one of the Datto competitors, because this is exactly what happened. So if we can run through this, because obviously it's all very well for all of us to sit here and say that Datto and Manage 247's backups are secure, but what happens when your backups backup is not secure?
It's not secure, and that's fantastic. So it's great to lead into that, and it was Robert, wasn't it? So from our point of view, we eat our own dog food. So we at Datto get pen tested every second month. We make sure that we've got a third party that actually instigates us. All our environments are 2FA, behind 2FA protocols. So it's two-factor authentication. So you have to log in and then you get your code from a third party app or your mobile. And then second to that, we also have a thing called Immutable Cloud. Now, this is something I didn't know about until I started at Datto, and it's something that's really interesting, but we actually take a backup of the backups. So we take your cloud environment, which your backup is located on, and every night that gets a full backup over to a place called a immutable cloud. Now, immutable cloud means there's no network connectivity to that cloud location. It is offsite completely, and there's no way of getting into that unless you physically go into the data center to log in and connect into. So in the event that we do get attacked, we have a backup of your data from the night before. So we're always ensuring that we've got that business continuity for yourself and our clients. So it's certainly something that we really have invested in. 2 years ago, we invested in 60 security staff for our systems. Nothing to do with the end user, nothing to do with the MSP, all about our systems. So we've got our own CISO in our organization who looks after what we do and our infrastructure. So we're definitely secure. We definitely protect the data of our end clients as well.
Okay. Wonderful. And the data, where is this data stored? Where are you storing the backups? Are they in the middle of the Sahara? Are they in America? Where are they, and what do these places that store our data actually look like?
So we don't sublet off Microsoft or Google or anyone like that. We actually build our own data centers. So we've got 9 data centers across the world. We've got 2 in Australia, 1 in Sydney and 1 in Melbourne. And so our data can stay in Australia because there are companies and organizations out there that want data sovereignty. So meaning that the data actually stays in our little island, and we do provide that. So the infrastructure that all our backups and our business continuity solutions are on is Datto solution. It's Datto hardware, and it's owned and operated by ourselves. So another email that's come through is, can you explain how it protects ransomware chain protection? I can, and I will. So what happens is
he's the guy who can answer this stuff. So that's why he's here.
I'm really excited about this sort of stuff. So Rupin, for example,
made his day.
Yeah, Rupin works closely with us at Datto, and our Datto suite that we provide to Rupin will check all his backups from his clients to ensure they don't have ransomware protection. Sorry, to ensure they don't have ransomware. We call it ransomware protection. So ransomware can be installed on a server 10 days, 12 days, a month before it actually gets the payload gets impacted, meaning that it's already infected the actual server, it just hasn't been enacted. So what we have introduced at Datto is any backup that has a payload installed on it, and we can check that by all our systems. We will then flag that with Rupin and manage 24/7 and say, hey, this client actually has ransomware installed on their machine. This is the backup we've taken. We recommend we restore from the backup prior that doesn't have ransomware, and you can get operational as soon as possible. If we flag that every second day or every day that we flag those backups and say they've all got ransomware, we'll have to roll back to the one that doesn't have ransomware on it. So we're making sure that we're in front of that payload before it gets enacted.
A question just come through, is there any risk about infrastructure management? Well, there's a risk in not having infrastructure management, because when you don't have infrastructure management, that's when you're vulnerable, which is the point we've been getting with these tech solutions and products such as your ransomware protections, your business continuity, ensuring that your backups are secure and safe and stored remotely and are being photographed often so that you can get up and stop downtime affecting your business. It's more, you're not secure if you don't have infrastructure management, as opposed to could you be secure without it? So I think we'll leave infrastructure management there just for the time being. We've obviously spoken a lot about ransomware and the cost of ransomware, how much it costs you if you do get hacked and the impact it can have. And I'm not just talking about financial, we're talking about the legal repercussions. The damage to reputations and businesses when they do get hacked. And I've tried very hard to get some case law for the purpose of this webinar, but unfortunately, when people get hacked and they have a data breach, they are making sure that everything in the Supreme Court of Australia is under seal, and I was not able to access anything because the last thing they want you to know is the legal ramifications that they're having. But hopefully the stats we've presented are enough. Now, BCDR is speaking about how much implementing a BCDR solution can save you when you go down. So now let's move on and let's talk about revenue management as part 2 of this presentation. What is revenue management and what does it mean? Revenue management is when a business and its leaders implement fintech solutions and platforms within their accounts department to streamline financial transactions, invoices, and receivables within a business. Sorry, guys. Efficient revenue management in a business maximizes revenue, and it ensures that accounts receivables are paid, and therefore it increases businesses' profits and cash flow. Now, we've just spoken about the cost of downtime and implementing technologies in your business that can keep you safe and minimize revenue losses that are inevitable if your IT systems fail and go down. So let's talk more on this. Let's talk about another way to manage revenue using technology that drastically reduces financial loss in all businesses and guarantees to increase profit and cash flow. And in the topic of revenue management today, we're going to be discussing recurring payment service with Nathan Dunn from Cloud Depot.
Cool, thanks Jen for that. So revenue management with our recurring payment service. So I'm going to touch on 6 main points, which are going to pop up on your screen. And I'm going to, with those icons going from left to right, sort of top to bottom. So what is RPS? So RPS is an accounting integration that connects through the cloud to your accounting system through the API that it has. There's nothing you need to install on your computer or any servers that you might have within your office. At the heart of RPS, this is the second icon, is an intelligent rules engine that you set up with these payment rules that normally sort of sit inside your head that you've thought about, but you might not even realize that you know when processing invoices. So these rules might be for monthly services that you offer or regular consultation that you provide. You can specify that the sort of one-off large project work doesn't automatically get billed and the customer is able to pay you manually. So we take all those rules that you've devised, we drop them into our engine, and that will automatically pay invoices going forward without any interaction from you. So even as you're asleep, our rule engine is ticking away. So the third icon, we are payment agnostic. So RPS is payment agnostic. So we connect to your favorite processing gateways. And so some of them are eWay, Stripe, and Payrix, which up until recently was called IntegraPay. It's all very secure, as none of that sensitive financial data is stored in our systems. It's all stored with the gateway that is your preference. With my fourth icon there, a secure payment website. So we regularly hear from clients who complain about how their customers will email them and call them and annoy them for copies of invoices that you've already sent out on time. They'll also ask you for statements to work out, what have I paid, what haven't I paid, what's still outstanding. So that's now a thing of the past with RPS. So we give you a secure website, and your customers can access this 24/7 from their computers or their phones, which allows them to do one-off payments by credit card or direct debit. They can download copies of invoices that they've paid so that they've got that for their records and they're no longer bothering you about that. Plus, they can also see what's currently outstanding. So they're not double paying things and you're having to spend more time to process refunds. And they can download copies of both paid and unpaid invoices. So the secure website of this portal that I'm talking to you about is branded up with your own color scheme, with your logos, with your menu. So it looks like an extension of your business and your website. So there's no branding on us, there's no Cloud Depot or anything on that site. It all looks and feels like you. We can also use your own email system. So whether you're using Office 365 or Gmail, so then rather than promoting that accounting system so the emails are coming from them, it's another opportunity for you to showcase your brand and market further to your customers. And it can also help get around some of those spam filtering issues that might be there. The fifth icon talks about the payment engine. So, I've talked about the rules. So on this automated side, our payment engine runs once a day and it tallies up what your customers owe you and then automatically charge their credit card or process a direct debit. If the invoice is higher this month for what they would normally owe you, you don't need to log into another third-party system to automatically adjust. We will charge exactly what the customer owes. If you add a credit note or they do a manual payment and the invoice totals change, we will only process whatever is due exactly before the payment's taken. If a payment fails, so that credit card has expired or it's been compromised, so they put a block on it, or it's just full, you can set up these retry rules. So you don't need to remember to try that payment again. Our payment engine will do this automatically for you, and it will also alert your accounts team and the customer by email. And all this, again, is branded with your colors, your branding, your themes, so it looks and feels exactly like a system internally. So my last icon is about being paid on time. We all know businesses who have outstanding invoices, and we know it gets exponentially harder to collect on an invoice the longer you leave it. So with RPS, the exact outstanding amount gets charged, no more, no less, on the day that it's due. So that means that your customers are no longer treating you like a bank. You're being paid on time, which is going to improve your cash flow. It also removes that really annoying daily task of having to nag customers for payments, because payments are being taken exactly when they need to. So that's all really good stuff. And Jen, jump to the next slide if you could, please.
Sure. So basically, Nathan, what this is doing is it's making sure that what you've worked for and the money that you're owed gets paid to you, and made sure that nothing's been forgotten or outstanding, or sometimes it's just forgetfulness to invoice. I know I've done that myself as a consultant, and then 2 or 3 months later, you're like, damn, I forgot to invoice that and it's a bit late. So what do? You avoid it.
So you would send your invoices potentially on the 1st of the month. They might be due on the 10th. So the customer gets it on the 1st, and they don't need to worry about processing payment. You don't need to worry about it either. We would just automatically collect that from the customer's credit card, or total up. If your customer owes you 4 or 5 invoices, we will combine those into one direct debit, process that, and then distribute the payments out and update the customer that it's been done as well. So all works really, really well. So let's talk about a real life example. An accounting firm that's using our platform right now. So their clients have payment collection issues, and all 73 of their accountants are seeing their clients lose money that they have earned and have or should have invoiced for. So this accounting firm went through all their outstanding transactions and worked out their clients are losing an average of about $92,000 a year from outstanding or forgotten invoices that just don't get paid. So this particular accounting firm has since partnered with us as Cloud Depot and implemented our recurring payment service and offered this to their clients to help improve their cash flow and automate payment processing. So, sorry, Jen, next slide. So what was the outcome of these new efficiencies? So we asked the accountant, just take one of the clients. So this one client was able to bring in an extra $2.7 million worth of uncollected payments in that first year since implementing our RPS platform. Their customers are much happier as they have a secure website that they can self-manage their invoices, downloading, as I said, paid and unpaid invoices. And their accountant's client is much happier because their bank balance is much better. So I think, with all this extra money, maybe time to buy that boat or that fancy new Tesla you've always wanted. So with invoices being paid on time and accurately, there's no more incorrect processing, which also looks very unprofessional. Having to send emails, sorry, we've had to process you a credit, we're going to refund you, all that sort of stuff. Don't need to do that because the right amounts are being charged. Those age receivables are down significantly, and the accountant's client is now able to focus on their core business, which is rather than chasing their customers for payments of invoices that are still there. So, that's RPS.
So would I be right in saying that RPS is not accounting software like Xero or Sage or QuickBooks? It's
correct.
RPS is a platform that pings accounts receivable through an API to collect the payment, to do the payment collection, not the invoicing or the reconciliation like Xero or Sage. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's correct, Jen. So you would this RPS platform would sit alongside your accounting system. So as you said, it's not a replacement for your accounting system. So just think of it as sort of an extension, another arm that sits out the side of your accounting system and does all that intelligent thing like charge invoices on due dates.
Okay, and there was a question back there, sorry, as you were explaining the case study. I think the point was that the client had not implemented RPS, which is why they were losing money, because collecting invoices is often a very tedious manual process. You need to go back through emails to see about conversations with clients, see if things have been paid, and people forget. And without something that's automating your invoices going out and checking that the payment's been received, payments do get missed. So implementing this revenue management software in your accounts department is the game changer.
Now, if you said a lot of clients are saving money, so that's fantastic. Was there a savings for the actual accountant side of the business? Were they able to restructure their business and take those accounts payable, accounts receivable people and put them into other areas where they could make more money, like from a professional services point of view? Did you see that?
Yeah, 100%. We were seeing that. So you're removing these accounting people from having to follow invoices, which is just mundane. It's boring. No one likes asking people for money. So they were able to reallocate them to the project, which is the stuff that's really, driving their revenue and pull them away from those sort of monotonous administrative tasks of, the classic thing of you've got a direct debit set up and it's for a set amount. Let's say it's $100 a month. Next month it's got to go up. Someone forgets to do that.
Yeah.
So then the following month you've then got to log into that third-party system to adjust that direct debit, because we're seeing exactly what those invoice totals are at the time they're being charged. We dynamically change those direct debits based on what's outstanding right now. So you're not getting those mishandling, and you're also not having to have those difficult conversations of, I'm really sorry I debited you too much this month. Am I going to credit you back, or am I going to add it as a credit to next month's invoice? It just, that all those sort of things should be nice and streamlined, so you can concentrate on the cool fun stuff in your business, not the following up payments on invoices part.
Definitely.
Oh, wonderful. All right, guys. So as we're getting towards the end of today's webinar, I wanted to let you all know that as a B2B expert consultant in the accounting, legal, tech and financial services industries, IT infrastructure relates directly to revenue, but not only that of your own, but that of your clients. And if you and your network or any of your clients' businesses need any help to assist with infrastructure management, BCDR, ransomware protections, managed services, and if you're interested in learning more about RPS and recurring payment service, there are some very generous discounts being offered to viewers here today. So I think that's about all from us here, from myself and to my wonderful panel, Rupen, Sean and Nathan. Thank you all so much for being here and identifying with us key issues that are very important for everyone to be on top of, particularly in the digital age and with technology solutions that increase revenue and protect businesses. So thank you all very much for your time. We now have some questions, question time. If anyone has anything they'd like to ask, please drop it in the comments box.
So one of the questions that did get was in there today or this afternoon, was about having the ability to need a BCDR solution for products that are in the cloud. So SaaS products like Xero, Office 365, Gmail. So Xero themselves, I'd be reaching out to Xero to ensure that they have their own business continuity solution for their staff and for their clients that utilize that system. But for systems like Gmail and Office 365, you definitely need a BCDR solution there, because Microsoft 365 themselves advise us that they only back up your data for 30 days. After 30 days, you can't restore your data. So if an employee were to leave and you take that employee off Office 365, you lose all their email, their shared drive, any mail, and any information that they have in their particular environment, unless you have a product like one of our Datto products that is backing up that environment to a cloud location. So you still need a BCDR solution for those SaaS products if they don't guarantee that they actually back up your product. So definitely check with your vendors to make sure they are doing that.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Sorry, just checking my personal chat. Is there anything anybody in the audience needed any clarification of the difference between recurring payment service and your general accounting software, or any of the IT infrastructure management softwares available that were presented today? There we are. There's one for you, Nathan. Just had a lady ask a question, how can she receive her recurring payments? And how is it collected? So I guess maybe that would be the IT integration and how RPS, how the platform pings. So it's a list of rules that are predetermined by the client, I believe, and it's pre-authorized. So the client will say, for every monthly invoice that I consistently owe you of, say, $1,000, you can charge my credit card. And then when that invoice is due, I believe the API will ping the system to go and collect that while you sleep. Would that be correct?
That's correct. So there's a few different ways that our rules engine works. So if you've got account codes, so your chart of accounts, so you will split your different revenue streams into different charts of accounts. So you might just have that, monthly maintenance where you're doing your regular tax returns and that sort of thing. That can be automatically processed. And the nice thing is, as you onboard new customers, you don't need to remember that those invoices need to be charged, because you've already set up that payments rules engine. And then we will go through, work out anything that's outstanding based on the rules that you set up. And you can start very simply and get very complicated depending on how your business is set up. So then we will go and charge that credit card or a direct debit based on whatever the customer has opted to pay. The direct debit process is also completely online, so there's no forms to print out or PDFs to sign. The customer goes to a branded page, which again has got your logo and all your details on it. They put in their banking details, they accept some terms and conditions, and that direct debit facility is set up. So it's really quick, easy, and painless to get customers onboarded, and then yeah, from there on, the rules engine takes over and just bills those invoices for you.
Wonderful. And on to sorry guys, just back to BCDR and onboarding the BCDR product. How long are we talking for implementation of that? And if anyone in the audience, if you are interested in any of the products, if you just go back through the webinar to the QR code that was at the end of the presentation, you can register your interest for infrastructure and IT management or for revenue management products. Just by filling out the details. But sorry guys, back to BCDR implementation. So Cloud Depot and RPS is quite easy to implement, and it's obviously a cloud-based platform. BCDR, what's the implementation and the turnaround on that like?
I'll let Rup talk to that. He's the one who implements it. So.
Yeah, Rupen does it. It's Datto,
amazing.
everybody is Datto is a partner with managed service providers. So the Datto products are only available through an MSP, such as Managed 247. You as accountants are not able to go to Datto and buy the product. They come through the managed service provider. So it would be Rupen implementing it. So over to you, Rupen.
Oh, mute. You're on mute.
Rupen, you're on mute again.
Is that better, guys? Yes.
That's better.
Yes.
So what we do is the implementation is probably to install the product and get it all configured is probably about 2 hours of time. The longest time that it takes is for the system to start taking a snapshot of your infrastructure locally, and then over time it will send it to a secure data center. So we've got 2 copies of any one time. So on average, I would say about 2 to 3 hours of implementation should be enough to get the BCDR solution up and running. But until we get a full backup, obviously the restore process probably will not happen until you get a full backup, whether it's local or on the cloud. That may take some time based on your internet connectivity.
Internet connectivity, depending on how big your environment is as well. So if you're ranging from 100 gigabyte, that'll be done in 2 hours. Something that if you range up to a quite large environment like 300-400 gigabytes, then you'll be sitting at close to the 6 hours. And then by the time it seeds up to the cloud, you might be 12 to 24 hours before it's up in that data center. But you'll have a secure image-based recovery process or secure spot, definitely on that data device that sits in your environment.
Wonderful. Okay, so just everyone, I'm putting up the contact details here for Rupen Agulian, who partners with Datto to provide IT infrastructure, and Nathan Dunn for your revenue management with recurring payment service. And if anyone's interested in more or free trial, you can scan the QR code on your phone or simply just put the URL into your web browser. If there are any more questions, if anyone would like to pop them in, otherwise feel free to sign up to get in touch. No big sales push, just more than happy to help you guys because it's become a very dangerous world out there with ransomware and with working from home and those kinds of things. And as an expert who works very closely with accountants, you need to understand the importance of making sure that your IT infrastructure is very secure and world-class. And obviously everybody loves money. So if we're going to work, we should be getting paid for it and not losing out on money that we forgot to invoice.
So one question has just popped in there, Jen. I don't know if you saw it. It's from Sonia, but how do you keep track of accounts payable?
Nathan?
Yeah, I assume that's for me. So yeah, it's just through that API. So we regularly sync with your accounting platform. So we can see exactly all the invoices that need to be paid and just do it that way. So yeah, it's a very straightforward process.
Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. I think that might be it for our Friday. It's off to lunch, I think, for quite a few people. And thank you, everybody, for joining us and my panel of experts. Rupen, Sean, Nathan, thank you for joining me. And I'm looking forward to some feedback. If anybody has any questions or comments, please reach out to Rupen or Nathan. Their details were provided in this webinar, or scan the QR code and sign up, and we can get in touch via email early next week. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Have a great weekend, team.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, bye.
I'd just like to come on and just on behalf of Kahoot Learning and CPA Australia, thank you for your participation and all of our panellists for a fantastic webinar. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.